Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Bruhaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanma Vavatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are going to read the last two paragraphs were left from chapter 3 Bhruguvalli, section 10, and we were on first verse. And if somebody could give the page number, that would be great.
It's page number 312, last paragraph. 312, last paragraph.
So the paragraph is starting with if any seeker comes to man of knowledge. So we are at a section where Varun is talking to his son and all the other students, and up to this verse he's talking to both of them, because for a Bhrigu it is like deeper meaning, because he already got the glimpse of the Brahman, and for others it was like, still worldly things and all that. And in this particular verse he was talking about do not turn away anybody who seeks shelter and lodging and all that. This is the vow. And let one therefore acquire plenty of food by any means whatsoever, and you should not take it wrong. They are not telling jaake chori karo aisa kuch. From whatever legal good means, whatever talent you have, you should have a prosperous household. That's what they are saying, that you can feed yourself and other people too. That's what they are saying. And then when guests come, you should say food is ready, and then saying if the food is prepared in a best manner and is given to the guests in best manner, then you can give to the guests also that way. Whatever you have, you give it to that was one meaning. And the second meaning, deeper meaning, was hey, however you behave with your guests, that's how the world will behave back to you. So both are great meanings. And then it said, that was the main thing in this. So keeping that in mind, and Swamiji took a very interesting approach for Bhrigu. That's what these last two paragraphs are going to say. Because to Bhrigu, he wants him to spread this knowledge to everybody. And not every recipient of this knowledge is same. Everybody is at a different level in spirituality. So he does not want him to reject anybody, or he wants him to help everybody. No matter where they are in life, spirituality is for everybody. And Swamiji used to always say that, it is not, you don't have to be, nice and pure and this and that to read. Hey, you go to doctor when you're sick. So if you have all this negativity, that's when you need it the most. So don't think like that, because sometimes सब कुछ एकदम से पवित्र होना चाहिए ये वो. It has its own place, but in reality, the people who have a lot of negativity, they need this treatment the most. So that's why he doesn't want it to reject him. So keeping that in mind, let's read this. Volunteers to read this. Okay, Urmilji.
If any seeker come to a man of knowledge, through Bhrigu, Varuna instructs the Hindu world that a teacher should not on any score turn away anybody who seeks shelter. If food, the seeker's inner integration, is prepared in the best manner, feed him in the best manner. Give him direct instructions of that. Defined in this textbook as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. If the seeker is mediocre, give him a mediocre instruction of some upasana with an equal dose of philosophy. If the seeker, unfortunately, happens to be the worst type, meaning one who is full of desires and agitation, excitements and passion, brutalities and animalism, then even such an individual is not be turned away from the temples of Vedanta. The priest here therein, the man of realization, has been instructed to feed such a man with the type of spiritual food which he can easily digest and assimilate. To such a seeker, first give instructions in asana and pranayama. When through his hatha yoga, the individual has developed both his head and heart to a certain degree, he is to be initiated into the more vigorous and subtler upasanas. And when he reacts favorably to these treatments, the highest truth of Vedanta is to be revealed. That the rishis of old were anxious to have the largest audience when they were discoursing upon the truths of Vedanta is evident in the very first chapter of the textbook.
So now he took such an interesting approach with this, that with whatever, high, medium and low kind of food. Here he's saying that if somebody it's don't turn away anybody who seeks shelter. Here is spiritual shelter they are seeking, and they're coming, but their minds are all different. Some people are a very relatively pure mind, so then you can tell them Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma straight, and then if it is mediocre, give him mediocre. जैसा स्टूडेंट होएगा उसके हिसाब से टीचिंग करना, ये नहीं कि kindergarten को PhD level का तुम सुना रहे हो. He's not going to understand anything. And if you tell PhD wala some kindergarten stuff, he's not interested because he already knows. So be a little smart. That's what he's saying, And I think good teacher is like that, right? Looks at the students and then speaks, rather than the same lecture. सभी को एक लकड़ी से नहीं हाँक सकते, और अपने हिंदुइज्म में तो it is, और सनातन धर्म में तो इतनी variety है. And when we go to Bhagavad Gita, there are going to be a couple of verses coming when Bhagwan will say, do this Arjuna, I can't do this, okay, do this next thing. A, B, C, D, E, खूब सारा उन्होंने बताया, सभी के लिए है. And I was thinking about another thing, that in olden days, some of those Brahmins had made it like Vedanta can be only studied by certain people and in Hindi and in you have to know Sanskrit. पहले संस्कृत पढ़ो नहीं तो वेदांता ही नहीं पढ़ सकते तुम, भागो यहाँ से. Imagine. And Swamiji came and said, no, I'm going to teach Vedanta in English, And those Pandits were so scandalized, They were like, and now Swamiji has studied these Upanishads and they're clearly saying that, you can give this knowledge according to their capacity to anyone. That's why I said it's going to be for everybody, from kindergarten, younger kids to, people who are on deathbed. Everybody can do it. And then, I was just thinking in olden days, you had to go to the Himalayas and all study Vedanta. Now we have Instagram, YouTube, X, and Falana, and then we have Zoom. You can sit in your kitchen and have your khana, or you can sit in your living room on the sofa, and you can, or like Falguni ji in her library, anywhere you can get it. So that's what they are encouraging, that everybody can get this knowledge, very open-minded. And and then now we know the role of asana, pranayam and hatha yoga. If you are too much full of it, if you can't even sit for 2 minutes, closing your eyes, it's okay. Start with this. It's such a beautiful, simple example, right? To do this. So that's what it is, that even if those people who are full of this, brutalities, passion and animalism, unke liye bhi hai. Sab kuch hai. So I thought that was amazing that how he kind of turned it the whole way, yeah. And then they're anxious to have the largest audience. So that's why Swamiji, in the beginning of this Upanishad, first chapter, they had talked about that a lot. That, you do your Swadhyaya, then do the pravachan. Do the Swadhyaya, do the pravachan. So that tells all of you also, whatever you are learning, you're excited about it, go tell 10 other people. 9 may reject you. I don't know. 1 may be interested. And some of your friends do come. I think this Falguni ji, it was your friends maybe. I don't know. Or maybe Urmilji's. I'm not sure. Urmilji's. One of them wrote to me directly. Said there she's enjoying the class so much, but she's away right now. But it was nice to hear that she just recently joined. So I think that if you go, who knows who will be interested, It's for everybody. So that's what they're saying.
Yeah, I think it could be Varsha. She's traveling right now.
Right. So it is, yeah.
She's traveling.
Yeah. So she told me. So that was nice to hear from her, yeah.
I mean, I was telling more and more people, but then I felt bad that they all joined, but they never continue.
No, that's okay. I don't even count Urmilji. For me, if they want to try it out, and sometimes I have seen what has happened is they don't join immediately, then they come later. Sometimes they leave and come. Whoever comes, we are having a good time anyway. We are learning and all, and behti ganga hai, koi bhi dubki laga le. So I have told everybody, whoever wants to join, and I'm not monitoring anybody who's exiting, who's coming, who's not. I'm not monitoring. If they let me know, I feel happy. If they don't, that's fine too. No problem at all. So don't feel bad about it.
It's your generosity.
No, it's just because मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. I'm doing it, for myself, and all of you are contributing together. We are together learning. So whoever wants to learn together, it's great. So you have no reason to feel bad about. You can tell whoever. Yeah. So any question about this particular verse before we go to the next one? Everybody good with this? No comment, no question? Okay, so we go to next one. The verse 2. Kshema iti vachi, yoga kshema iti, prana apanayoho, karmeti hastayoho, gati iti padayoho, vimukti iti payo, iti manushi samagnya. Kshema, well-being. So there are two words, yoga and kshema, which came... it already came in chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, actually. That has a slightly different meaning, and we will see. Yoga is, union with the higher, but there's another meaning also, because all these words, like I say always, you can write a whole essay on it, because there's so many dimensions to this, and depending on the context, that's why we need a teacher. You need all these Swami's commentaries, otherwise we will be totally lost. So here we'll see what it means. Vachi is speech. So kshema, well-being, safety, well-being and safety. Iti is thus, vachi is speech, yoga kshema. When it comes together, acquisition and preservation. Like our teacher used to, for younger children, she made it simple words. Gain and guard. You want to gain something and guard it. Protect it. Okay, gain and guard, she used to call it. Iti is thus, prana apana yoho. Prana and apan is taking in and excreting. Shwas, we take in, excrete. Food we take in, all the juices are taken up by the body, and then excretion. So, prana apan. Karma iti, as work or action. Hastayo, hands. Hands are used for action. Gati iti, movement. Padayoho is legs. Pad is leg. And then vimukti iti, excretion, payo. Payo is a Sanskrit word for anus, that we excrete from there. And he's going to say, see, Brahman and that. When we say, nobody wants to talk about that, no, it is important. And you'll see in the explanation. Iti is the manushi, in respect of man, as a human being. Samagya, meditation. It's talking about another angle of meditation without being shy about anything. You can meditate on Brahman. Everywhere there is a reason, divinity in it. That's what they're trying to say. Very, very important. So now coming back to some of these words. So these are now another angle of Upanishad. And Swamiji is going to explain, the three words, Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik. Okay. So Adi Devik is, the way Swamiji is going to explain is, it is unmanifest power. these 5 elements that we have, what we see is manifest, some of it. Even Akash, it's like almost like unmanifest, but it's there, whichever way you want to look at it. And then everything in the universe is made from these 5 elements, but when it is more gross, we can see it. When it is an element, it's even the air we cannot see in some ways, but it is there in everything, right? So that unmanifest is called Adi Devik, and it is a very strong force. It's like nobody can, उससे कोई टिक नहीं सकता उसके आगे. अगर कोई बड़ा सा हरिकेन आ जाए वगैरह, मैन कैन कंट्रोल दिस एंड ऑल, सारी हवा निकल जाती है. एक सुनामी आ जाए बहुत बड़ी वाली, कितना भी बड़ा स्ट्रक्चर किसी ने बनाया हो. Like when I was in that earthquake in 89 in San Francisco, they were so shocked that the bridge fell off because it was shaking, separated it. And all the engineers, we thought this was like a, earthquake proof. No, it wasn't, because the powers are very strong. So the Adi Devik. And Adi Bhautik is when the things are, manifested in front of you. All the things around us are Adi Bhautik. And Adhyatmik means our personal, our own body, mind, and all that. So here the meditation is, Adhyatmik, based on our body and all that, mind, but it is connected with Adi Devik and Adi Bhautik. That's what they are trying to say. Okay? So this is some more upasanas are mentioned. So what is upasana means? We have to think in that direction, which is explained in these. That helps us integrate our mind. And it's constantly or in a particular way we have to think, guided by scriptures. That's what it is. Okay. So now Kshema iti vachi. So Kshema, when we say yoga and Kshema, it has one meaning. And over here, Kshem means kind of well-being. That's how, because sometimes it's hard to translate into that word. And when it says that meditate Kshem in the Vani as Brahman. So what Kshem means? Protection. Here we can look at it as a protection also. Acquiring something and protecting. Okay. So why did he say it's in the Vani? Because Vani is like the main way of communicating or speaking, expressing. Everything is Vani for human beings. That's how we operate, right? Animals make certain sounds and all, then just that's it. But apna to itne lambi speeches hoti hai. That's what I'm doing over here, talking so much, Vani. That's how we are understanding. But उसका purpose क्या है हमारे बोलने का? We want well-being for ourselves and people around us. That deep, it's a very subtle thing if we think about it. Whatever we do in the world, we want to make ourselves and the world better. That's why we are doing it. यहाँ स्वामी जी ने इतना भी बोला है उनके कमेंट्री में कि दुष्ट लोग दुष्ट काम भी अपने वेलबींग के लिए करते, ऐसा सोचते हैं वो लोग. यही सोचते हैं ना कि मेरे को कुछ मिल जाएगा. चोर भी चोरी करता है तो वो सोचते हैं कि आई एम गोना गेट दिस, राइट, माय वेलबींग. सो एवरी वाणी के पीछे वेलबींग है. दैट्स हाउ इट्स सेइंग. सो Brahma himself or Brahman himself exists in the Vani as protection. That's what it means. And then, Nikhilanand ji had some other points. He said that when we use words, किसी को आशीर्वाद देने के लिए, bless someone or protect someone, we use our voice only. Right? We use our, किसी को बोलते हैं ना, आयुष्मान भव, सदा सुखी रहो, जो भी बोलते हैं, वाणी से बोलते हैं. Right? So these words are Sakshat Brahma. And we should meditate Brahma residing in our Vani as protection and shame. Okay? And so idea is that you are taking these upasanas, but the final goal is to go towards Brahman only. But if some people connect it this way, this is also a good way to do it. That's what he was saying. Seeing Brahman in a various expression in the world. Exactly what Krishna Bhagavan is doing in chapter 10. He's taking all the different aspects of the whole universe and he's saying, this is my expression. So here he's saying that Vani is the expression of Brahman only. And then he was just explaining a little further if somebody didn't understand. Okay, just like you do a puja, Okay, you take a murti or a photograph and you superimpose idea of divinity on it, like Shaligram, or this is Vishnu Bhagwan, or you take, what you call Shivling is a biggest example. It's a stone, but you are thinking of Shiva on it. You're superimposing, So this is the same way you are taking a smaller idea and superimposing Brahman on it. That's how it is called. Okay, so these Upanishad and Vedas, they have a different type of upasana, and this is one of them. Speech, superimpose idea of Brahman on speech. So this is what it is. Okay. And next one is Yoga and Kshema. So when a pran or apan, when you take the breath in, breath out, just consider it, superimpose Yoga and Kshema on it as Brahman. So Yoga and Kshema is like what I said, and it is used in Bhagavad Gita also. Kshema, Yoga means to acquire something that I don't have. Everybody has a desire. Hey, I want this material thing, spiritual practices, or emotional things we want. We want love from people. वो भी एक acquisition ही है. And I want to gain that. So I want to gain something, and then whatever I have, I want to protect it. कैसे हम relationship को भी protect करने की कोशिश करते हैं, right? So it's just not physical things, but it can be emotional, spiritual. All these things come under Yoga and Kshema. So gaining it and then protecting it, उसको बोलते हैं Yoga and Kshema. So हम लोग का ऐसे देखा जाए, पूरा टाइम वही करने में जाता है. It's a subtle thought. सुबह से शाम तक जब हम जो कुछ भी करते हैं, वो सिर्फ योग क्षेम के लिए करते हैं. Some of you have like a little doubt in your mind about it. You can express this if you have a doubt. Whatever we do it for yoga and kshema. Right? So, and then in chapter 9, Bhagwan ne kya bola tha? The one who is constantly thinking about me, I take care of his yoga and kshema. So कोई बोलेगा, ओ मैं भगवान का भजन करूंगी तो मेरा घर का क्या होगा? Hey, don't take it literally, huh? You will just say a whole time and don't cook and all that. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. But हम लोग का जो fear and anxiety और worry है ना, वो चली जाएगी. I will do my best and leave the rest. Bhagwan is going to take care of my yoga and kshema. That's what it is. See. So these are in Gita also, very interesting. So Bhagwan alone is that, and meditate upon it. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I forgot. Breathing in and out. Yeah. And then he said hands. He talked about hands. What are the hands used for? Karma. Anything we want to do in the world, action, hands are immediately involved in it. We're doing it by hand. Obviously, other organs are also part of it, but hands are the main thing. And it is used to perform karma. So they are saying in this verse, meditate on the hands as Brahma and represented by karma. Because if we go back to chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan said, power to do action comes from Brahman. From Brahman, it came to Brahmaji, and Brahmaji created this world. So all of us who have this power to act, everybody has it. Where is the power coming from? Brahman. So that's why we have to meditate about that power of action in our hands as Brahman. Our hand symbolizes action. Okay? So Ishwar alone is that action. That's what he's saying. And or we can say because of his blessing, we can do it. Whichever way you want to look at it. And then he said about legs. Legs is, Ishwar alone is as gati. Gati means movement. हम लोग को मालूम है, कभी टांग वांग टूट जाती है, कितना बुरा हाल होता है. We can't go here, we can't go there. We have to have that sticker in our car, handicap, because we can't walk. We need a walker, and we need what you call that chair and all that. So movement is very, very important, and all of us have it in our legs, and that is Bhagwan's representation. So meditate as Bhagwan in our legs as movement. Okay. So यहाँ तक तो ठीक था. अभी उन्होंने एकदम revolutionary बात बोल दी. He's saying, in our anus, meditate on Bhagwan as vimukti, excretion. or limits are crossed over there, because scientifically speaking, eating and excretion both are extremely important. If one of them is imbalanced, you are in big trouble. Apan has to be balanced. So that is Brahman ki Shakti hai wo, you know. So if somebody is having a problem, pray to God. You know. So anyway, how open-minded they were. I was just amazed at their open-mindedness. And even that you see Brahman as a vimukti, excretion. So what is the idea over here? This proves Brahman is everywhere, present everywhere. You know, we can't say, you know, only in certain things and all that. And there, you know, Nikhilanand ji was explaining that, remember that there are, just if we have sense organs, 5 of them, each one is associated with like a devata, you know, who blesses, and that's why we can see, because there is sunshine, where there's light. Light, every light is coming from sun only. The energy comes from the sun. And we can taste because of water content in us. Otherwise, we won't be able to taste. So all that. Same way, the 5 organs of action have different devatas. And remember when we do this opening prayer over here, Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varuna. We've been doing it for so long. So Mitra is the devata of anus, Vimukti, you know. So it's that Mitra has all different jobs. One of them is that. And jo haath ka devata hai na, wo Indra. Indra is in our hands, action. And any guesses on who's the devata for our legs? Any guesses? It's Vishnu himself. Is movement, you know, because God is everywhere. We can go with our legs. Some people, they do walking and they cover the whole world. I've heard. I don't know how they do it, but or they go miles and miles of walking. And if you think about it, from the time we start walking until we die, how much movement we have done in our life. कोई measure करेगा? I don't know. कोई statistic होगा जरूर इन लोगों के पास. AI can do it. How many miles we cover? How many times we can circle the earth, probably, you know, in that much time. So everything is like very scientific. So that's why I'm saying that, hey, you can meditate upon Brahman on your different parts of your body. You know, you don't need to go idhar udhar bhagने की कहीं जरूरत नहीं, अपने ऊपर भी कर सकते हो. So that's what is this. Yeah, this is the upasana. And samagya, the word, there's a word samagya means upasana, with respect to human being. Okay, so then we saw that Vani, Pranapan, you know, hands, legs, and anus, everything is covered. So this is what it is. Any question, comment? Any volunteers to read another one today?
I can read.
Good. Falguni ji, go ahead.
Okay. The Supreme resides in speech as well-being, in prana and apana as acquirer and preserver, in the hands as action, in the legs as movement, in the anus as the activity of excretion. Thus is the meditation of Brahman in respect of man. So far, the Rishi had been explaining the 4 different methods of upasana on food, annam, which had a double implication, an obvious one for the backbenchers and mystic meaning, subtler in import and graver in suggestion for Bhrigu, the young boy of experienced realization. Here we have 2 more methods of meditation prescribed, which are meant for the subjective integration of the instruments of self-realization, addressed here only for the backbenchers in the classroom.
So here he's just explaining, Swamiji is explaining that we had talked a lot about annam, which are, you know, don't reject food, you know, don't do this, do that, and have enough food for, and all those, the 4 ones that we saw, you know. So he's saying that word had a double meaning. You know, one was for the backbenchers, you know, means students who have not reached the higher level yet. And then there was one meaning, deeper meaning for Bhrigu, but this particular one is specially addressed to the people who are like backbenchers, or they are still not way up there in their sadhana. and what is the purpose? Is the subjective integration of instrument of realization. Okay, you have too many desires, too many this. I want to eat laddu, I want to do that. Why don't you meditate on Bhagwan, on those things? Okay, every day that you can't get. Say, okay, I don't know how to meditate on some very subtle things. Hey, but you have your hands, you have your legs, you have your other body parts. Meditate on Brahman on that, right? They come up with a very simple thing. That's what they're doing here. Yeah.
The analytical brain of the immortal rishis of India could classify any subject, however confusing it may look to the ordinary man. Concentration can be developed by meditation upon an object, and to classify all the possible methods of meditations would be a problem almost inconceivable to any statistician. But the Hindu rishis had quite successfully brought all of them maybe, right?
And then you have to kind of have a pause. Had quite successfully brought all the then existing method. That's how you read it.
Meditation, right? Okay. Yeah, the enunciation was important here. But the Hindu rishis had quite successfully brought all the then existing methods of meditation and all possible future methods of meditation. The classification being upon the basis of the condition and character of the goal of meditation under three main headings.
So what they are saying is, I'll just explain because it's a long sentence, that they have thought about every aspect and every kind of student. That's what they're saying. And they have a knack of classification. Because if you think about it, the 5 elements, the way they are classified, so clear, right? Nobody can make a mistake. About the Varna Vyavastha that they talked about, 4 different kind of mindset that people have. Tremendous classification, because we can put every human being in that classification. Hey, somebody is money-minded, somebody is a visionary, see what I'm saying? Somebody is, hey, don't tell me anything, just show me what to do, or some very, very strong, they can do administration and all. Each human being can be classified. They are broad classification. Same way they are saying they had a knack of classifying things no matter how difficult it looked. But they knew, they did their research, and they made it easy for us, the classification. That's what they're trying to say.
I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this.
Okay, I'll tell you the 3 words, then it'll be easy for you. Adi Devik, it's going to be Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik. So now go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Adi Devik, when the aim of meditation is upon an unmanifest idea or ideal. Adi Bhautik, when the point of Adi Bhautik, when the point of concentration is upon an object or a phenomenon that is manifest, and Adhyatmik, when the individual attempts at concentration are directed towards his own physical structure and its inner world.
So these 3 terms, they come under many different aspects of Vedanta. When we say, I want, where does the trouble come from in the world? And I want Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. 3 baar kyun bolte hain? Right? So whoever joined later on, all the other people, like Meena ji smiling, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So there are 3 तरह के troubles are हमारी दुनिया में, हमारे लिए. एक trouble है आदि दैविक, कोई भूकंप आ गया, कोई जिस पर अपना कोई कंट्रोल ही नहीं है, कोई storm आ गया, कोई दैविक, something, act of God. Even in the insurance walas, they have this term. जैसे भगवान को और कुछ काम ही नहीं है, act of God कर दिया. Anyway, you understood what I mean. Something beyond our control. All the 5 elements, they can do some gadbad. That is Adi Devik. Adi Bhautik is everything surrounding us. Noisy neighbor, some trees falling on our house in the storm, whatever. Those things are like things that are troubling us from outside in the world. That becomes Adi Bhautik. They are manifested. Because Devik thing, just a storm jab aata hai, suddenly aa jata hai. We don't even know where it's coming from. But Bhautik, you know the things, and then they create trouble. And Adhyatmik means my own body and mind giving me trouble. Koi pain ho gaya, ki koi mental worry ho gayi and all that. So when we say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti 3 baar, we are saying that आदि देवी भी शांत रहे, आदि भौतिक भी शांत रहे, आध्यात्मिक भी शांत रहे. अभी मैं पढ़ने जा रही हूँ, so please भगवान तीनों तरफ से शांति रखना. That's one way that, so this is how they explain. But what they are trying to say over here is that this meditation they are talking about has this adhyatmic, adidevic and adibhautic aspects to it. Because in this verse they are talking about, hey, these our body parts. So adhyatmic ho gaya ki nahi? Part of our body and mind is adhyatmic. But we are superimposing something higher on it, which is adidevic. And like we said that the devata of each organ is different. That's devik. Mitra, and I was telling you about Vishnu and the legs and all that. Ultimately, we are going towards Brahman through this upasana. That's what they are saying. They have classified into 3 different ways. I hope
So
this
that's
makes
why I
it.
think when we do meditation, they always say, right, bring your concentration to each body part.
That could be, yeah. And basically, the whole idea is that, hey, right now my mind is totally out here. And how do I gather my mind? Hey, my body parts is part of me. So, बाहर से निकल के यहाँ तक तो आए. And then you catch it from there and put it on Brahman. True, that they are saying. And then the most popular one is breath. They tell you to concentrate because breath is, it's like a auto thing going. And when we are concentrating on breath, then it's even little more focus than different body parts. Because breath is just one place it happens. So those are all the tricks used by all the Rishi Munis.
It's like I've heard from all those people who go for that Vipassana thing.
Oh, yes.
And once someone told me that I could literally feel my blood flowing in the veins at the end of it.
I've heard the same thing because my family, there are 2 people who go to Vipassana regularly, and I have heard exactly same thing. So, but that it's very intense. वो सुन के मुझे तो डर ही लगता है. Sitting
don't
for
have the
10
visuals,
hours.
but I've heard it's very, very uplifting.
Yes, for people who have done it, and they were scared in the beginning too, but they said they could do it. So if anybody can do it, great. Yeah.
Okay. Under these 3 groups, all upasanas can find a place. We have here the adhyatmic and a happy combination of the other 2 forms of meditations. That is to say, we have a scheme of meditation described wherein adidevic truths are recognized in adibhautic phenomenon.
So now everybody understood. Adi Bhautik also is there, Adi Devik and Adhyatmik, all 3 they are blended in this one. That's what they're doing.
The section under discussion is describing the adhyatmic methods, meditation upon the human personality itself, both upon its activities as well as its own structure, is described here. To superimpose a subtler and nobler idea on a grosser and ordinary object is called upasana. We have already seen that upasana is the attempt of recognizing the mighty upon the measure as Shiva Tattva upon a round stone, or the national pride and hope upon the nation's flag.
So that's what they are saying, that here the meditation upon human personality itself, because they talk about action, movement, excretion, these kind of things. So their own structure is described here, but we are superimposing something higher on it. And we know that national pride on a national flag. Flag is just a piece of cloth, but kitna emotion jagata hai wo. Like you see these athletes, when they win and their national anthem is playing, some of them have tears in their eyes because they're representing their whole country. They have won one gold, but it is so much power behind it because of that feeling in them. So that's what they're saying, that, and the people, there is one very interesting drishtant. I don't know if you have heard of it, or maybe I've talked about it earlier, that there was one fellow who approached a Swami and said, tell me something. What was this drishtant? It was very interesting. I'm trying to think how to say it now. Tell me about God. तो उसने उसको कुछ ना, instead of telling him about God, he said कि राम बोलो, राम जाके, राम जपो, right? जपा. So he said, what do you mean राम जपो? मैं तुम्हारे पास आया हूँ, इतनी सिंपल सी चीज बोल रहे हो, राम जपो जाके. तो मेरे को तुम्हारे पास आने की क्या जरूरत? थोड़ा भड़क गया वो. हाँ, तो ही से तू मूर्ख है उसने मतलब गुरु ने उसको बोल दिया तू मूर्ख है. तब तो वो और भी भड़क गया. हाँ, मेरे को क्यों मूर्ख बोल रहे हो, ये है वो है, चिल्लाने लगा. सो ही सेड ओके, तेरे को मूर्ख बोला, इतना बड़ा रिएक्शन हुआ तेरे ऊपर. आधे घंटे तक तू मुझे ही गालियां देता रहा बिकॉज आई कॉल्ड यू मूर्ख. तो जब अगर मैंने राम तेरे को बोलने को बोला है तो पहले जाके बोल राम में क्या पावर है वो तो समझ ले. हाउ कम द राम वर्ड डिड नॉट arouse that feeling of bhakti in you. That's what you need to do. That's why I told you to go and do the Ram. So that's what it is, that if you know the meaning of something, it can arouse a lot of thoughts, emotion, everything together. So that's what they're trying to teach us through this upasana, that seemingly different things which are very simple, if you superimpose something higher on it, it has a lot of power. That's why they say a stone, you keep it in a mandir and do puja, it collects a lot of energy because everybody's bowing down, they're taking care of it, and everybody coming with a lot of good feelings in there. It transforms that stone into a Bhagwan, representation of Bhagwan. So that's what they're trying to say, that here that's what they're doing.
Umaji, I was thinking about these two in the prior paragraph. Adibhautika, Adidevika. Adibhautika to me, when I read it, was like representative of an idol. Okay?
Yeah, you can solve it. Yeah.
Adibhautika would be what it really represents, is the unmanifested. But you take it from the manifested to the unmanifested.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Taking and then from unmanifest to Brahman.
To unmanifested would be Brahman.
Yeah, well, when it is like a sequence. Brahman is like is the ultimate. From yes. Brahman comes manifest and unmanifest, two different things. So the elements, they are in unmanifested form earlier, but behind them is Brahman. So it's a 3-step. You can take 2-step, but technically speaking, 3-step.
Well, because I took of an object as an idol. When this is adibhautika, when the point of concentration is upon an object. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm on an object, so I have an idol.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And then on that, when the aim of the meditation can be upon an unmanifested idea, on that, what it stands for.
Yeah, you can directly also do that. Absolutely. So, whichever way. Yes, that's fine. No problem.
And then for the Adhyatmika on myself, on the individual person, every action that I do, I can look at it as the reflected consciousness which is doing that action.
Yes, it's giving the power to do it, yes.
Power to do every action, whether it's a leg, whether it's an arm, whether it is my thinking. So every action, they talked about the 5 types of actions, the legs and the arms and the apana and, looking. Everything.
Yeah, they talked about organs of action. You are absolutely right. Speech,
yes.
excretion, and pranapan, hands and legs. Yes.
So all of these are the same factor behind it.
Yeah,
that's
behind
what
it.
We are doing it.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of it, how I can apply to what I know already.
Yes.
And that's thinking about that.
I think that's exactly what their idea was, that if sometimes, if it is Brahman is very difficult to approach, so approach it with whatever known factors that you have. Everybody knows about their hands and legs and their different body parts. So meditate upon Brahman through that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how simple it comes to.
Yes.
When you think about it, how simplified it is.
Yes, that's what the whole idea was.
Look at your hands and who is controlling these? Who is making us do everything?
There is a prarthana for the younger people. I don't know the whole sense. Some of you might even know. हम लोग को याद करवाते थे. Kar Lakshmi, something in Hathon mein Lakshmi hai, right? All those Chinmaya Mission kids. Since I didn't go to Bal Vihar, I don't know all the prarthanas. But there, moment you get up, you pray, you look at your hands and pray. You've heard of that, right? That you see God in your hands. Yes. Yeah. So they have made it very, very, people laugh at something who don't understand what it means, but there's a lot of deep meaning and make it exactly what you said, Urmilji. They are making it very simple for everybody to approach Brahman. He's not sitting, Bhagwan is not sitting behind the clouds, I don't know, I can't approach. He's everywhere, including, they even went in as far as anus. Who would have thought that,
But it's so true.
Exactly.
I mean, we go crazy, right?
Exactly. That is the biggest American problem. Yes.
I have a comment.
Yes.
So, these 3 words you used, I used in my book. And I don't know whether I was right or wrong, but we live 3 kinds of lives. One is Adi Bhautik, in which we live a worldly life. We think what we see is what we get. Then Adi Devik becomes Aham Brahm Jigyasu. When you become curious, and now you want to know that there is one beyond the physical. And then Adhyatmik is when you achieve that, when you lose your identity.
So, you could, but technically when they say about Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik and Adhyatmik, then it's used for those 3 things. But what you are saying makes sense to me too. But as I said, that sometimes the term is just like yoga and kshema and kshema. Kshema, they use a well-being. So whatever you are saying, that makes a lot of sense too. So you can use these three terms and stretch it to that idea too. I see no problem in it.
People ask me, why we have to worry about what is not, we don't see. I mean, they don't want Gita class. There are people who don't know what
the people who say like that,
but they live all their life.
90% of things we don't see and we still believe in it. I mean, we listen to the news. Have I seen what is happening in the other side over there? People, when they say that kind of logic, it doesn't connect to me at all. I don't believe in it because I don't see it. Your vision is so limited and your understanding may be so limited. Our eyes can have only limited vision. That doesn't mean we reject the rest of the world. And half of the things we believe, all of us who believe in, we have never seen it. And somebody was saying, including our great-grandfather, we have not seen. Doesn't mean they didn't exist.
So I'm connecting this to this Taittiriya, where he said the Manushya pleasure, we are working towards sex, power, wealth, and health to maximize our Manushya pleasure. So if we are getting that, we are not worried about anything else.
Why we won't be worried? Tell me one thing.
That,
no, but why we not worried?
Then we start the other path.
Because we know it's temporary.
No, we don't know. Sometimes we think this is it. We are so
if somebody who thinks like that, but then thoda to akal use karni chahiye. You have seen people die in your, among your loved ones, among your friends and all that. So how can they say it is permanent?
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, so unless you have that jigyasu appear in you, you wouldn't be interested in the other part.
That's for sure. And whoever is not interested, we have to just leave it because one day maybe they will be. You can't escape it.
I mean, I started at age 56. I had no idea of any of this before.
I started when I came to Chinmaya Mission, and in the beginning it was like, what are they saying? And slowly it sinks in. Yeah. And they say, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. First time you have never heard of it, you are not the body. And they will think you are crazy because what do you mean you are not the body, right? Yeah. Now we know what they mean after studying this. So true. I just realized we have gone over. We got so engrossed in this. But I'm glad we had a good discussion. So we'll continue. I think this is very interesting. We'll continue next time. We are starting with applying this technique, right? From there?
Yeah, page 316 would be the next one.
Yeah, and my page number is different, so that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, great. Any other burning comment, question? No? Okay, I can close here. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Okay.
Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.